one thing that I've loved seeing people talk about whenever the pandemic hit and people were doing work from home stuff or jobs where just like people were having a hard time hiring workers because no one wanted to go out of the pandemic. The phrase "no one wants to work anymore" started catching fire from bosses and capitalists and managers and class traders and all that. And what I have loved to see since that happened was people not defending. It's like, you're right, I don't want to work. You're right. It's like, no, I don't. Like, why would I? Why would I want to get up and go and slave away for someone else for hours on end in a job that I do not want to do? The only reason I'm here is because I need to do this to survive. And it's not my passion, it's not my interest, not my goals. I'm just making somebody else rich. And yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not going to pretend I like to do that. I really appreciated that, Servina.
Yeah, yeah. I think I just feel like people have gotten to the point to where they're like, okay, this is just what we do, and
Yeah.
it's like this is not just what we do. This is just some shit that we've been doing because the people before us did it, and the people before them did it, and they just kept being like, yep, we all have to work, we all have to do this thing, we all have to subscribe to this thing that we've created in this society, and it's like I don't want this. I don't want to do this. I shouldn't have to do this in order to be able to like survive, in order to be able to like have a place to live and shit. I shouldn't have to get up every day and waste like precious moments of my time slaving away at this corporation that doesn't give a fuck about me. I will always think about the woman who like died at her desk at Wells Fargo and they didn't notice that she was dead for like 4 days. I'm like,
Mm.
they don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you.
Wait,
They don't give a
Serafina,
fuck
I
about
haven't heard about
I
that.
didn't know that story
what
either.
happened there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a couple of months ago. I think there was a woman who was working at it might not have been Wells Fargo, but I think it was a bank or something, where she was working at her office and she died at work and no one noticed her body for like 3-4 days, and it's like they seriously do not give a fuck about you at all. And so I look at stuff like that and I'm like, no, I don't want to work. I don't want to work. I have very, very precious time on this earth and I would like to spend it doing things that I actually want to do, because like people don't realize how much of our time we spend actually working. It is insane. It's like either we are working, we are asleep, and then there's a very small sliver of time where we're doing everything else that we want or need to do on earth, you know? And so it's just like I don't want to. I don't want to. I wish that I didn't have to. I wish that I had a situation where I could just live the life that I want to live, never had to step foot in somebody else's job ever again, and that would just be my life, and I would do that. I'd do that in a heartbeat. So no, but boomers out there that are talking shit saying, "Oh, these guys don't want to work." No, bitch, I don't want to fucking work. I do not want to fucking work at all. In fact.
So what Serafina said, I just looked it up. It's 100% true. A woman clocked. It was in September 2024. A woman clocked into work at Wells Fargo Friday morning. They found her dead in her cubicle 4 days later. So like it was just like, oh, they found her like 2 days. Oh, it was a weekend. No one was in the office. No, they went through the whole day of work on Friday. Because she would have left on Friday if she hadn't died on Friday.
Yep.
And so she died. She's there the whole weekend. She was there on Monday. That's 3 days later. The fourth day, Tuesday, is when they found her at 4:55 p.m. The end of the workday on Tuesday. How did no one smell her? Like I don't know how long it takes for corpses to smell, but Jesus Christ, that is like you. If I was playing like a video game about like some like a dystopian future, like a cyberpunk future where the capitalists don't care about the works at all, and like that was a little like note that I found in the game, I'd be like, oh, that's a neat little piece of dystopian world building. Nope, that's a real article from 2024.
Look, rest in peace to this poor lady here, especially since she must have had a great job, because if I can you imagine having a job where you died and no one noticed that you weren't there for days? I mean, that would be amazing. I would love that fucking job. I gotta like find out what she died in September. It might still be open. I gotta go apply for this position. Like, I don't care what it is, man. If I can just disappear like that, that'd be awesome. Like, once again, all due respect to this poor woman. No, I don't. Her family's not watching or anything.
He was 60, by the way, so like still like you're in that age where it's like, okay, you died.
He's getting up there. Yeah,
like it's still a little sad. You died a little early. But...
All right, I'm a lot closer to 60 than you guys are, so I don't appreciate that. Just saying, that's not I'm not quite as sure. That's a million years off or something like that. So I do want to say, when I was in the Army, I remember one of the guys in my unit was talking about some extra duty that the Army had. And so, oh yeah, we need someone to volunteer for this. And I was saying, oh yeah, I can volunteer. He's like, nah, don't do that. He's like, have them make you do it. Don't volunteer for the extra work and everything. I was like, oh, I don't know. You know what? He said, listen, TJ, when you die, your family, friends, and loved ones are the ones who are going to show up for your funeral. The Army is going to send a CD to play taps. And I will never forget that. Like, I'll never forget. It's like, oh yeah. It's like, they don't really care. Like they don't. Like they're going to, your job is going to get what they want out of you, extract as much as possible. And, if something happens to you and it affects them in some way, then they'll worry about it. But, not until then. And with work, there are two things about work that have been in my mind for years now. Another one is when someone asked me, imagine if someone walked up to you and said, hey, here's a $20 bill. You can take the $20 bill, but you will die an hour earlier. Would you take the $20 bill? Maybe. You'd think about it though. It's like, and after a while, you're like, okay, I'm not taking $100,000 from you. But that's what you're doing with work. That's exactly what you're doing with work. You are losing time, something you cannot get back. Once it's gone, it is gone forever, and you're exchanging it for this imaginary concept called money that we create to keep the society going. And also how we're going to have to start changing how we view work with the rise of automation. This is something that we're going to have to deal with sooner rather than later. That eventually, Elon Musk is going to get us there clearly, but eventually we're going to have autonomous driving. Like, it's going to happen. If not in our lifetime, then definitely the next. That's going to take away, I think, 30% of all the jobs in the market right now. Machines are going to get better at doing literally everything, including making machines. There will not be enough jobs for everyone. And what are we going to do then? What are we going to do? People, because what we're doing now is we're going to keep the system where if you don't work, you don't have a job, you don't have some way to be exploited by a capitalist, you starve to death. And you're going to look at, like in the very near future, a world where there's like 4 trillionaires and a few billion slaves that's where we're heading to. And I don't think enough people are really focusing on that right now because they're pushing it off like it's this foreign, far off concept. It's like, no, this is going to happen. Like, what do you think, Serafina?
Yeah, honestly, and that has been like an obscure thought that I've been having in my head for a long time that I haven't ever said out loud because I've been like, that sounds fucking crazy. But honestly, it doesn't really. I've had this thought in the back of my head, or more of like an image of all of us working as slaves together. That one scene at the end of the SpongeBob movie where they're all like, all hail Plankton and doing all of that crazy shit. I'm imagining us like that, but I'm imagining the billionaires and all of them like next to us and shit, like Elon Musk over there doing the stuff and all of that. And I'm like, it's going to get to the point to where even them, the ones who think that they're the highest, the ones that think that they can't be topped, are going to be just as low as the rest of us. And I feel like that's like the point that it's going to get to at some point. And I had that thought and I was like, that sounds fucking insane. And I'm like, well, is it though? Is it really that crazy that they can really get to a point to where it gets so bad that even the billionaires, even the people who are supposed to be like on top, are down here with the rest of us working? And it's like, I don't know. I feel like I could see it happening sometime soon.
It's not all that. So here's the thing. I will push back on the idea TJ stated that there's not going to be any jobs anymore, because I don't necessarily agree with that. The human history is littered with massive technological innovations that have rendered the vast majority of jobs humans are doing useless, and then we still have jobs, right? And I think that what is going to change is our relationship to work. kind of what we were talking about earlier there, Serafina, right? Where you're like, I don't want to do this. I'm doing this to put food on. I'm doing this to pay rent. This is not my drive. This is not my raison d'etre, right? It is just money to me. What's going to change is that relationship, because eventually there's going to be enough automation where it's like, shit, we don't need to work to survive. Like, again, some leftists will argue that we're already there. That's not fucking true. But we are going to be at a point within the next couple of generations, at most, where, simply put, humans do not need to do the level of labor we currently do to keep on existing and progressing, right? And that is the point where it's like, okay, how much should we be working? How much should we be working to be able to live a standard lifestyle? How much should we be working in order to live an above average lifestyle? Like, what does it actually take? And I think that what we are all going to eventually settle on, it might take some bloody bits, hopefully not. But like, again, history is shaped by those bloody bits too. But like, we're gonna settle on a participatory economy where you're not just doing a job to put food on the table. You're doing the job because you want to do it. Whatever it is, you are contributing to society. Your basic needs are met, so you don't have to go out and do the job. You don't have to provide value for the shareholders, right? Instead, you are a shareholder in whatever the fuck you're doing. Whatever you're doing provides you value back, not just your wages, but you get a cut of whatever it is, because everyone who's doing the work at this company, they don't have to. So why the fuck would they be doing the work if they're not getting a cut of it? And that's the switch that I hope we get to with as little blood as possible in as little time as possible. And if it sounds like what I just described was socialism, no, it's not, because most people won't go along with that. We're going to call it something else. We're going to call it a worker democracy. I also saw I said participatory economy. I saw that thrown around too. But that is the inevitable future, because on any timeline, you might argue it's longer than I am, but like, it's going to be a point where we don't have to work to survive. Like, we all know this. We all know this to be true. So what happens at that point? Why would anyone go work for someone else to make them profits when they don't fucking have to? That it's going to happen. It's just how much blood must be shed before we get there. TJ, am I being too optimistic again?
I think so. Yeah, I do. I think I see it going the exact opposite direction, where you won't have to, realistically, you would not need to work to survive, but our system would need to change for that to be true. Because if
that's why I say there might be some bloody bits.
Yeah, it would have to be it would have to be a wild change in our relationship between money and work. And that's, I guess, what the point we're saying here is that, because I mean, even like small like jobs like no one has asked that at every neighborhood Walmart that all of the cashiers are self-checkout. Nobody asked for that. Nobody at all. And it happens all the time. And so the second that a capitalist can get rid of your job, they will. Which is funny when they argue, it's like, oh, well, look, you're replaced by a machine. Brother, that's happening anyway. The second it becomes cheaper, they will do it. And the capitalists don't have any interest in keeping workers other than having someone to actually spend the money. Like, they do need a baseline for that. But I don't know. I think it's going to be like real dystopian real quick before people get to that point, because you're right. Like, we don't actually need it, but I don't know. We can go on.
And I want to interject here, TJ, because Mark wants us to talk about eggs and what the Department of Agriculture is doing with eggs.
I have no idea.
And I have no idea. I'm going to be straight up with you.
Yeah.
I have not read what the Department of Agriculture is doing with eggs. Again, there's just a fire hose of shit all the time. I am kind of interested, though. I'll look it up. But here's the thing. The reason egg prices are high is because of the bird flu. There's nothing that systemically can be done to just make more eggs happen. It's not a policy that's causing the egg prices to skyrocket. Just like it wasn't a policy back when they skyrocketed under Biden. Like, I never blamed Biden or anything he was doing for the rising price of eggs. That's just a supply and demand thing. And, it's going to return back to normal. There's other things that are systemic. There's a lot of prices in our cost of living that have increased due to systemic policies, the largest of which being housing. You know, if we build more housing, we'll reduce that price. That's the systemic issue. We can't build more eggs because they're dead. The chickens are dying. That's why we don't have the eggs. They get produced naturally. So these are the things where it's like, yeah, there's still limitations in this world, which is why I argue with some leftists who are like, yeah, we just spend. We can't fuck ourselves because, yeah, we can fuck ourselves. We're still limited by things like disease and physics. But who knows for how much longer that's going to be. I would wager that by the time, I'm an old man like TJ, there's going to be significant changes in our relationship to scarcity, because it feels like we aren't moving, but we're moving faster than ever before. And that is the difference between, the Industrial Revolution and now. During the Industrial Revolution, people lost their jobs, there was economic turmoil, all of this, but it happened over the course of decades. This is all going to very suddenly happen over the course of a decade. And that's what I don't know how humanity gets around, because it's never happened this quick before. But if you guys enjoyed watching this video, because I don't know, we talked a lot about libertarian perverts, or we're basically going to hell in every religion now, and if you want to join us, you want to join Serafina, where can they hear more sacrilegious content coming from you, Serafina?
Yes. So I am on TikTok at the Devil's Daughter 162. I'm also on Blue Sky at that same also on YouTube at that same and I post content on all three of them. Mostly on TikTok, a little bit on Blue Sky, and sometimes on YouTube. But those are like the main ones that I'm on.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Serafina. Folks, we really enjoyed your interaction with us and joining us for another episode. Please free to check out The Left Wing. Watch us. We are on every Tuesday and every Thursday evening. You'll grow to love us. We are not libertarians, but we are perverts. We'll catch you guys later. Have a good time. All right. Good game, folks. Good game.